Okay, we started introducing BJT fabrication in order to explain to you the drift in the base region. So, this is the fabrication steps which shows you either we start with N type of material or P material as the base, and then top of that we dope with the different materials, like in order to make NPN transistor, we start with N material. This acts like a collector. On top of that, we diffuse boron material that forms the P layer, and again the N layer we need to diffuse. So, we use phosphorus material. So, likewise we keep diffusing layers on top of this base material, which is in this fabrication. Okay. And later we discussed about doping profile also, and the doping within the doping concentration within the base region, and we showed that with the mathematical equation there is an electric field which is driving the charge carriers within the base region. We discussed about this. We started with current, and therefore, later on uh, we derived this equation for electric field. Next, we said that the electric field is a driving force within the base region, because here usually the concentration of charge carriers will be differing from emitter to the collector. So, diffusion of charge carriers will happen from emitter to the base, but within the base the charge movement happens through the strong electric field, which is given by this approximate equation kT by q into A by WB. Okay, this is the equation we have discussed in the last class. And next, what we said is regarding a base narrowing. Okay, so, we have seen that effect of base narrowing. To give you the additional things with reference to this, I would like to present it with an this material. You can see that this is what the base narrowing. In the base narrowing, what we have assumed and what is reality, let us have this clarity here. So, the assumption here is the base width WB. Okay, what do we mean by WB? So, WB is nothing but, look at this diagram. So, this is WB, the distance between the two depletion regions. So, this distance here, let me highlight that. So, this distance here and this distance, this is WB. Now, this WB base width here is in the earlier assumption what we have done is it is not it is independent of the collector emitter voltage. This is what the assumption we have in our conventionally we have this assumption. Okay. The base width is independent of it is not a function of collector emitter voltage VCE. So, this is what the assumption happens in normal transistor of P plus N P transistor. Okay. But the reality is this assumption is not always valid. In case if you choose a transistor of the type P plus N P plus, where this emitter region and collector region are heavily doped, but the base region is lightly doped. So, for this type of transistor, this assumption becomes invalid. That means, the base width now WB is not a independent function of collector emitter voltage. Now, it becomes a dependent function of collector emitter voltage. So, let me rewrite here for this type of transistor WB here. Okay, now, it is a function of collector emitter voltage VCE. Okay. That means, as collector emitter voltage changes, accordingly the WB also keeps changing. Okay. So, that is what we let us see that what is the consequence of WB and how it varies the operation of a transistor. Let us analyze this step by step. So, in this type of transistor, base is lightly doped, that is what base region is lightly doped, and you know that the collector emitter junction JCB in normal active mode. So, this is going to be reverse biased. So, JCB means it is a collector base junction, this is reverse biased. The other junction we have not told here. So, other junction is going to be the emitter base junction. In normal active mode, emitter base junction is going to be forward biased. Okay. So, this is called as the mode is called as normal active mode. In order to operate the BJT under the normal active mode, we need to maintain forward bias across emitter base junction and reverse bias across the collector base junction. Now, you can see that because of this base region is very lightly doped, and we have here the reverse voltage which is applied across collector base junction. So, what happens to this depletion region now? So, depletion region we know that from PN junction theory. So, depletion region extends towards lightly doped region. Lightly doped in our case is going to be the base region here. So, now depletion region instead of penetrating towards collector, collector is already heavily doped here. So, therefore, this depletion region penetrates into the base region like this. That means, you may end up with a situation like this complete base region will be occupied by the depletion region here, as and when the reverse voltage keeps reverse voltage across the collector base junction keeps increasing here. So, this depletion region what you are seeing here, slowly it will try to occupy the base region here. So, this is for some reverse voltage it has occupied the base region, and look at, if you increase further increase it may occupy something like this, and again see if you increase further it may occupy something like this. That means, the depletion region is penetrating towards the base region which is lightly doped in this example P plus and P plus transistor here. That is what we want to show here. Okay. So, as collector base junction voltage increases, this is a reverse voltage. When the reverse voltage increases, the L decreases here. So, look at here, this is going to be the L. L is nothing but the depletion region, length of the depletion region, this is the L. Okay. And also look at there is another term called as the LB, that means total the distance of the base including this depletion region here and this depletion region, that is LB, capital and subscript with B. Okay. So, L is nothing but depletion region, LB is the total length of the base region which is LB, and WB is nothing but it is distance between the edges of the depletion region here. Now, look at here what is the consequence of this. We can arrive at this relation WB. Okay, WB is nothing but distance between the edges of two depletion region, this distance. Okay, this distance is WB. So, this we can write it as we can write as LB, this is LB total length including these depletion regions, LB minus this depletion region L. So, that is going to be the width of the base region here. Now, as collector base junction voltage keeps increasing, so obviously L keeps increasing, okay, because this is a depletion region, the length of the depletion region. So, as L keeps increasing, this is going to be a constant value here. This cannot vary, this is already fixed at the time of fabrication. So, this is fixed here. Due to the increase in collector base voltage, this L keeps increasing. When L keeps increasing, this WB keeps decreasing here. So, what is the consequence of WB? Decrease in the value of WB. W means it is nothing but the width of the base region. That means, base region becomes more and more narrow, okay, as reverse voltage VCB keeps increasing. And this effect was identified by the person called as J.M. Early in earlier days. So, he is the first person who interpreted this kind of the effect. That is why this narrowing of the base region due to the increased reverse voltage across collector base junction, this phenomenon is called as the base narrowing or base width modulation, or it is also called as Early effect here. So, these are the various definitions, or we can give it for this Early effect here. Okay. So, I hope you understood this Early effect. The narrowing of this base region due to the increased reverse voltage for this particular type of the transistor is called as the base narrowing or base width modulation or Early effect here. Okay. So, this if you observe common emitter characteristics, this easily we can see that base narrowing is a more apparent in the output characteristics of the common emitter configuration here. So, in the common emitter configuration, you know that now as WB keeps decreasing due to the increase in the reverse voltage, the base becomes narrow. When the base becomes narrow, base current decreases. When base current decreases, the amplification factor, this is called amplification factor beta. So, beta keeps increasing. So, the amplification factor keeps increasing, and once beta keeps increasing, and beta and collector current are related to each other, IC is equal to beta times IB. So, therefore, collector current also keeps increasing. So, this is a product of beta and IB here. So, the beta keeps increasing due to the decrease in the WB here. And if you observe the characteristics of BJT, the output characteristics, the slope is now proportional to the collector current here. Okay. So, this we have seen in the last class also, you can see this is what the effect here. The slope here, so this is not a perfect straight line for a practical device here. So, the curves are going to be like this for ideal BJT. These are the BJT characteristics. So, this is a collector emitter voltage versus collector current characteristics. For practical BJT, this characteristics family of curves has been shown here, but ideally this curves are going to be straight line here. Okay. When this curve is going to be straight line, now if you extend this the lines to the second quadrant here, the VA is not going to be close to the y axis, it will be far away from the y axis. So, that means this VA keeps increases as long as this becomes an ideal. Now, there is a slope which exists here, due to that this VA has got some finite value, and this VA is very close to the this y axis here. When the slope increases, so this VA becomes very close. When slope becomes 0, for a perfect straight line here, curve something like this. Okay, when we have a curve output characteristic something like this. Okay, so here we have a straight line, then for these conditions, for this straight line, slope is going to be 0. When slope is 0, if you join this line, they meet at for all these curves. If you draw the family of curves like this straight lines, and if you join these curves, they meet at infinite value. So, VA becomes very large for the curves of with the slope as 0. But these are practical curves that we have shown here. Therefore, this when you extend these lines to the second quadrant, all these characteristics lines on the second quadrant. So, for the slope 0, this VA becomes infinity, but with having finite amount of slope here. So, this VA becomes a value which is finite value. This value VA is called as early voltage. This is not a a voltage in the BJT bipolar junction transistor. It is just an interpretation, that is all here. So, when we extend all these lines for a practical BJT common emitter characteristics, it meets at one particular point, and this point we label as early voltage here. Now, this has implications with the amplifier also. We will see that what happens to the large VA. Usually, when we have a large VA, the narrowing effect will become very weak. Okay. So, that is what we told in the even in the material also. Okay. So, we will come back to that here. I hope you understood this, the slope how it is proportional to the collector current here. So, when we extrapolate all common emitter characteristics, that is what you have seen here, extrapolating all common emitter characteristics to one particular point, it gives you the voltage that is called as early voltage here. Okay. Now, for the P plus NP plus transistor, we can approximate the length L of a collector junction depletion region for the N material. N material is nothing but base material, that we can write with this mathematical equation, this small l x n naught, or that can be equated to small l, which is given by this expression 2 epsilon V naught divided by Q into N A divided by N D into N A plus N D. So, N A is called acceptor ion concentration, N D is called donor concentration, V naught is the built in potential, and this is permittivity epsilon, and Q is the charge. This L is nothing but which is the length of the depletion region here. So, length of the depletion region is given by this equation. From the p-n junction theory, we can write this equation here, and this equation can be further approximated by having this an approximation. So, you can see here. So, V naught and VBC, if you compare here, this VBC is going to be large, VBC is nothing but reverse voltage that is applied in the normal active mode, that is larger compared to the built in voltage. So, in this expression, this V naught can be changed to VBC. For simplicity, we use a positive value here instead of having negative value here. And also for the type transistor of type P plus N, P plus ND is going to be very much less compared to the NA. So, ND is nothing but donor concentration is less compared to the acceptor concentration here. So, that means ND becomes negligible here. If you neglect ND here, this goes to 0 here. When ND becomes 0 here, this NA cancels with this NA, and you are left out with only this this V naught now becomes equal to VCB or VBC. Okay, so, this becomes equal to VBC. So, now the simplified equation is as shown here. The final equation for x n naught is now which is equal to small l given by square root of 2 epsilon VBC into Q times ND. So, this we can write it now, this L is now proportional to the square root of VBC. That means, the reverse voltage what we apply is now proportional to the L here. As reverse voltage keeps increasing, then the depletion length also keeps increasing here. So, that means the base becomes more and more narrow here, that is what we told here. So, now you can see the consequence of this when the L becomes when L becomes very large. Let us see what is the implications of that on the BJT operation here. As reverse voltage increases, due to the reverse bias, increase in the reverse bias. So, WB keeps the decrease. So, there is a decrease in the value of the base width. So, what happens when the base width decreases? Okay, that means collector depletion region essentially fills the entire base region here. So, that is what I showed you here for you. So, this means this depletion region from the collector side, it slowly occupies the base region here. There may be a situation where in which the complete base may be occupied by the depletion region here. Under that circumstance, let us see what is going to happen here. So, collector depletion region essentially fills the entire base region. Okay, this is a situation where due to the large reverse voltage, the entire the depletion region is occupies the entire base region, and because of that, what happens now? So, this condition is called as a punch through condition. Punch through condition means it is a condition in which holes are swept directly from the emitter to the collector. Since base is occupied by the this depletion region. So, now the existence of the base region is now equivalent to the depletion region now. Because of that, now charges which are injected from the emitter, they straight away move to the collector without the role of the base here. So, this implies that the transistor action is lost here. So, that means without base, the transistor is without the base, the transistor is losing its action here. So, because of that, so the punch through because of decrease in the base region, so the transistor will lose its action here. So, the punch through is a breakdown effect that is generally which is avoided in the circuit design. But when we compare the breakdowns in a transistor, one with avalanche breakdown and other with punch through here. So, avalanche breakdown mechanism happens at early compared to the punch through mechanisms here. Okay. So, one way we can avoid this this base narrowing effect is by using a device of called as graded base doping. Using this graded base doping, we can avoid base narrowing effects here. And also another way you can avoid this base narrowing is when we make larger early voltage. So, using that mechanism also the base narrowing effect can be reduced here. Okay. So, this is about base narrowing, and if you have any questions you can ask me before we move to the avalanche breakdown. Okay. Any doubts or any questions you have? I hope you understood this breakdown mechanisms here. Okay. Okay. With that, let us see that avalanche breakdown. This is a small topic of avalanche breakdown. When we compare with the punch through condition and avalanche breakdown, in most of the cases avalanche breakdown occurs early compared to the punch through mechanism here. So, this is what the assumption here. And now, let us see the breakdown conditions. When the large reverse voltage is applied across collector base junction, so there is a breakdown which happens usually, and that breakdown which occurs in a transistor can be analyzed in this particular section here, especially the avalanche breakdown, because this is what the common breakdown which happens in a bipolar junction transistor due to the reverse bias applied at the collector and the base. Now, let us define what is this breakdown voltage with reference to the different configurations here. So, B times B is base transport factor times VCBO. So, this is the notation that we use for the breakdown voltage in the common base configuration. So, this is the breakdown voltage for common base configuration, and here when this is defined, VCBO is defined when under the condition the emitter is kept open. Okay. So, this is defined under the condition which is emitter IE is 0. Under this condition we define what is this B times VCBO. This is a breakdown voltage for the common base configuration here. So, under the when the breakdown happens, usually there is a sharp increase in the collector current here, at voltage when the reverse voltage applied is greater than the this breakdown voltage B times VCBO. So, when this breakdown happens, then there is a large surge in the collector current that we can see with reference to common base configuration here. With reference to common emitter configurations, we can define similar breakdown voltage for common emitter configuration. With reference to common emitter configuration, it is B times VCEO. CEO means it is, in this case its base is kept open. So, that means IB is 0 in this case here. So, the breakdown voltage for common emitter configuration is given by this equation B times VCEO. Now, you can see under this condition again there is a surge in the collector current as well, that is what we have seen here. And now, when we compare this two breakdown voltages with the common emitter and common base configurations here, these two configurations. So, B times VCBO. So, that is nothing but common base configuration breakdown voltage, and this is with reference to common base breakdown voltage, and this is with reference to common emitter breakdown voltage. So, this common base breakdown voltage is much larger compared to the common emitter breakdown voltage here. The O subscript here indicates it is base current is 0 for common emitter configuration, that is what I told you here, and emitter current is 0 with reference to common base configuration. When we define this B times VCBO, this O subscript here indicates with reference to common base, it is an emitter current should be kept open circuit here. Emitter terminal should be kept open circuit here. So, under that conditions we define this breakdown voltage here. Okay. There is a mathematical aspect of this breakdown voltages. Let us define what are those. The terminal current entering the collector depletion region for each of these configurations for common base and common emitter configuration breakdown voltages is given here. This is the collector current that enters the collector depletion region, and here we have an alpha n. This is a current transfer ratio times IE plus ICO. This is the reverse saturation current ICO times this m. M is nothing but it is an avalanche multiplication factor. This is an empirical expression we have it for m here. No need to derive this, there is no proof for this m here. So, just we define what is that m. M is given by this equation what you are seeing. So, m is equal to 1 divided by 1 minus VBC divided by B times VCBO. This is for the common base configuration here. Okay. So, now here this is the collector current expression which is entering the collector depletion region. Okay. So, this is given by this, and once we substitute this m equation, m is given by this equation. Okay. We get total expression for the collector current that is entering the collector depletion region under the reverse bias condition here. Now, this equation we can rewrite for different configurations. Already we have discussed breakdown voltages with reference to common base and common emitter configuration. Now, let us define the currents collector current with reference to those two configurations here. Now, as per the definition of common base breakdown voltage, so IE is going to be 0 for this common base configuration. With that we have defined the breakdown voltage. Now, if you can substitute IE as 0 in this equation here from equation 1. So, this complete term will get eliminated and you have left out with collector current equals to m times ICO. So, this is the equation for the collector current here, okay, for common base configuration here. So, this shows that the collector current is now proportional to the this avalanche multiplication factor m and the reverse saturation current here. So, that means the collector current is large in case of common base configuration here. Now, let us rewrite the same equation for the common emitter configuration case. So, common emitter configuration case we defined breakdown voltage with IB as 0, and here if you set in this equation 1 IB as 0, and you can also set this wherever there is an IE we can substitute as IC. If you substitute these two conditions in this equation 1 here, Let us see what is the expression for the collector current. I have rewritten here same expression, which is this is an equation 1. Okay. So, now I am substituting in place of IE as IC, and IB is IB, there is no IB term in this case. So, IB is equal to 0 means the base is kept open. Okay. So, now if you can simplify this equation, so we get relation IC as if you transfer this and if you take as IC as a common factor and send this to the right hand side, and you have final expression for IC as ICO into m divided by 1 minus alpha n times m here. So, once again m is the avalanche multiplication factor, it is empirical expression, we already said about that. And now here when alpha n in the denominator, if you observe here this, when alpha n term becomes if it tends to unity here, then this denominator cancels here, that becomes 0, then IC will be will tend to be a large value. It increases indefinitely and its value surges to infinity here. In other way, I can say that when alpha n into product of these two tends to unity, IC tends to infinity. This is with reference to common emitter configuration case. Okay. And in order to achieve the same thing, infinite collector current in common base configuration here, we need to have infinite avalanche multiplication here. So, when we make m as infinity, then only you can achieve IC as infinity here, whereas it is easier to achieve a large value of collector current. It easily achieves large value of collector current with alpha and m tending to unity here. So, this is what it is told here. So, avalanche multiplication dominates the current in the common emitter transistor well below the breakdown voltage of the isolated collector junction. So, that is why we can write this as B times VCO is less than B times VCBO. So, this is the breakdown voltages of both common emitter and common base configurations here. Okay. So, these are some mathematical aspects of the breakdown voltages that we have considered, but details you can see even in the from the textbook also, can go through more details of avalanche breakdown here. So, that is an important thing to consider. See, where we usually operate BJT in the if you look at this BJT, especially in normal active mode, we operate this region in the reverse bias case. So, therefore, we need to know when this junction is going to break down, avalanche breakdown, when it is going to occur, and when it occurs, what is the current entering this the collector to base, the collector current that is entering here. So, we showed that mathematical expression for that. Okay. With that, now let us move on to the thermal effects. Little bit of thermal effects we need to discuss here, because as I told you, this large voltage, reverse voltage that is occurring here, that dissipates lot of power. And also as we said that whenever holes moves from lower energy to the higher energy, they give they donate energy to the atoms, silicon atoms, and they dissipate energy in the form of heat here. It is the reverse for the electron here. When electron move from higher level to the lower level, they dissipate energy. When holes move from lower level to the higher level, they dissipate energy. As you are seeing here, this is the holes in from they are moving from this region, emitter region, which is of lower energy level, and they are moving to the higher energy level here. So, while moving from lower energy state to the higher energy state, they give energy to the neighboring atoms here. Okay. Now, like this, if most of the holes, when they are moving, they dissipate lot of energy in the collector base junction. And here, if we do not design proper the heat dissipation material or the substance here, then it leads to a problem called as thermal runaway here, because this effect becomes cumulative, and at one point of time when excess heat generated, if it is not removed with proper the measures, then definitely we are going to lose this collector base junction, and the transistor is going to stop its operation here. Okay. So, the VI product, that is very important in the collector junction here. Okay. So, this is actual power dissipating within the collector base junction. Due to the holes, they give up energy when they move from lower energy state to the higher energy state. Okay. So even due to the lot of the defects within the the atoms also, we have seen this in module 1. So the holes, when they are moving, they collide with a lot of defects and also dissipate energy. That's called lattice vibrations. Okay. So we have seen that here in module 1, and this excess heat generated due to the different the process, due to different mechanisms here, we need to remove properly. If you do not cool it properly, then it leads to the effect called as thermal runaway here. Okay, let us see that how best we can design the transistor so that we can avoid a problem such as thermal runaway here. With conventional semiconductor, the emitter and base are diffused, which are shown here. This is the first and the last terminal indicates this is the base terminals, which are interconnected here, and the bottom we have a collector here, and the current in this conventional structure flows from top to bottom like this, from emitter to the collector. Current flows like this in this structure here, and there is a collector which is the collector electrode is at the bottom of this structure here. So current flows from emitter to the base, that is in turn controlled by this base terminal here. Okay. Since a base is very lightly doped, it is resistive and gets two contacts here. So you can see here we can represent the base region with a resistance here, as you are seeing here. So this is the resistance which is offered by the base region of a transistor. Okay. So whenever the charges or current flow happens from emitter to the collector, that should happen via the base. So there is a resistance exists in the base region here. So definitely when current flows through that, there is a power which is dissipated within the base region here. So there is a thin base layer and there is a large transistor area. At the other side, we need to make design to have a larger collector current. We should have a larger transistor area, because collector current is equal to collector current current density due to the collector of a region of a transistor multiplied with its area. So we should have a larger area to have a more current also. So getting IB under the center of the emitter is quite challenging here. We need to design properly so that current is power is not dissipated here, current is not consumed within the base region due to the resistance which base region is offering here. Thus this resistance causes larger emitter base voltage at emitter edges and larger emitter current also, because these are the resistances RB we have shown here, this RB dash which is shown in the base region here. So this must be avoided in some way, otherwise the emitted charges, holes which are injected from emitter, they tend to give lot of power to the base, and the current get dissipate, power get dissipated within the base region here. So this emitter current crowding here. Okay, so emitter current crowd causes lot of heat, and we just established this effect, this heat effect generated within this base region is going to be problematic, and we have to design properly this terminals to avoid that heat generated within the base region here. Okay. Let us see what are the best methods we can design this. So this is one possible way of designing a transistor is as shown here. You can see here this complete these are the base terminals here. Let me highlight here. So this is the base here, this is a base here, a base here. So that means between the base terminals here, there are now multiple emitter terminals you can see here. Instead of having one emitter and in a conventional transistor like this, we have two bases here. We have seen alternate transistor design such a way that we have multiple emitters now and multiple base terminals here. So by doing that, there is a multiple injection happens at multiple levels, and so that the resistance offered within the base region that can be reduced, now having multiple the bases here. Okay. So this is the new design of a transistor. So to avoid the emitter current which is crowding at one particular point here. If you look at this is cross sectional view, as you can see here, this is going to be the collector here, this is a P region, and this N region you can see here, this is the base. Okay, so this is the collector and this is N region here is going to be the base, and this strips what you see is going to be the emitter here. Similar structure you are observing here, because every emitter terminal has got adjacent with the base contacts here. Okay. So, all these base terminals can be connected with single contact, and even emitter also can be tied up with single contact here. That is what you are seeing here in this a cross sectional view of this a top view of this transistor structure. Okay. As you are seeing here, this all base contacts are clubbed together and its single contact is made, and all emitters are grouped together, and there is a separate contact is made here. That means, instead of current crowding at one particular point, we have splitted that into the multiple with multiple emitters and multiple base terminals here. So, this is going to be the best solution compared to the a conventional transistor that you see here. Okay. Now, the base terminals and there are multiple base terminals and multiple emitter terminals. So, with that we can reduce the emitter current crowding at one particular point here. Otherwise, it offers the entire injected carriers will lead to the lot of power consumption within the base region here. And here you are seeing one particular transistor structure developed by a company called Motorola. As you are seeing here in this, identification of transistor is very big challenge here. So, this is going to be the collector here, and this is this is an emitter here what you are seeing here, and this is going to be the base here. Okay. So, in this way you can identify the transistor. This is made with the larger area, and because lot of current collector current can flow in this type of the transistor here. Okay. So, here we need to identify the bipolar junction transistor in this structure here. There are multiple contacts you can see here. Okay. So, this gives you this is the this is emitter terminal here what you are seeing here. So, this is an emitter terminal, and this is top what you see is a base terminal here. Okay. So, this is base, and this is going to be the emitter, and this is bottom layer, this is goes beneath of this. So, this is a collector. So, this is the complete transistor structure which is designed by a company called as Motorola here. So, this is one best solution compared to the conventional transistor design here. Okay. Here you can see that just some specifications were given from the Motorola company, the transistor specifications here. The transistor naming is P2N2907A, and this is the actual device what you see, this symbolic representation, and these are the current specification, DC current gains is shown here. Okay. So, this is a specification sheet, data sheet, and this is of course available from different manufacturers. You can when we want to use transistor from different manufacturers, we can look into the technical specifications of that. Okay. With that, I think we have covered almost all the things related to BJT except transistor switching. We will move on to the transistor switching, but these are the possible questions we would like to ask in quiz. Quiz questions are ready, which we need to post it probably today evening or tomorrow you will get quiz questions. Since previously you are unable to take up quiz because there was a limited response which I can receive, but now I have prepared with different a quiz sheet which I will be passing on to you. But keep in mind, these questions will be commonly you will get in the quiz. What is an early voltage? You know that early voltage is a voltage when we extend slopes of all the characteristics in common emitter characteristics, and it meets at one particular point. So, in the negative in the second quadrant. So, that is an early voltage here. So, early voltage has its implication with reference to the modulation factor, which is beta. So, we have discussed about that. So, kindly look into that the definition of early voltage and its implications on the BJT operations here. In normal forward active mode, where is heat dissipated in the BJT? Is it in the emitter base or collector base or elsewhere? Just think about this. Why does BJT at right perform worse at high collector current values here? So, there are various choices given here, just look into those choices and select one among this. To avoid the current crowding, BJT is typically used which type of mechanisms here, whether planar electrodes or interdigitated electrodes or current crowding cannot be avoided here. So, look into these options and choose one among this. Okay. With that we have covered the emitter crowding, thermal effects, and base narrowing, and we even covered drift in the base region here. Okay. So, if there are any questions with reference to this, I can take up before we move on to the new topic of called switching for the same module 3. Any questions or queries you have? Okay, if there are no questions, let me move on to the switching. Switching is an important, this is from circuit design point of view. Students need to be aware, how to use BJT as a switching device. See, the popular applications of BJT is it can be used as an amplifier, or it can be used as a switch. It all depends on which region you operate here. So, switch operations and amplifier operation here. Amplifier, you need to operate in active mode, active region or active mode. If you operate BJT in the active mode, so BJT works like an amplifier, and any small signal applied as an input, as a base current, you get large voltage in the at the collector side. And when we want to use BJT as a switch, okay, just like on and off switch, on switch or off switch, we need to operate BJT in the saturation region, or for off switch we need to operate in the cutoff region here. So, now we look specifically into the switching operations of the BJT. The two conduction states in a switching operation of transistors are on state and off state. So, BJT can be used as a just like mechanical switch what you see in your home, okay, appliances. You can see that mechanical switch, and this is going to be electronic switch. Mechanical switch turn on and turn off time is very large, whereas in electronic switch the on state and off state you can just move around this in a fraction of seconds. In electronic speed, especially in nanoseconds, we can move between these two states here. So, therefore, the BJT is a fast electronic switch compared to mechanical switch. Ideally, a switch appears as a short circuit when turned on. That means, BJT, if you are looking at BJT from symbolic point of view. So, this is the BJT from symbolic representation here. What do we expect as a switch? If you want to use this as an on switch, then definitely it needs to act like a the closed switch. This is a open switch, this is off. When you want to use as a on switch, it need to be closed like this. This is an on switch. That means, BJT can be made on and off depending upon the base current here. So, this is the base current here, okay. The collector current that is flowing here, this is IC. Okay, you can make this current either small quantity or large quantity depending upon the base current here. Okay, you can make base current as 0 or negative. That means, the BJT will become an off switch. Off switch means it is open between the the output terminals here, input and output. So, it functions as an off switch. Okay. When you want to use this as an on switch, you apply the sufficient significantly large value of the base current. So, then this BJT will be, it works like a on switch, and it behaves, it is analogous to a closed switch like this here. So, this is a short circuit. In other point of view, from switch point of view, either we look on switch as a short circuit, and off switch we look as a open circuit here. Okay. So, these are the two way we can interpret switches here. Okay. Further, it is desirable to switch the device from one state to the others with no lost time between them. Without taking too much of time between these two states, we often need to move BJT between these two states. Okay. That means, we expect BJT to perform like a half switch or to work like a on switch here. That movement should be very fast. Within no time, this the transition should happen between the off state to on state and on state to off state. This is what really happens in the computers, right. So, computers, if you look at it, houses billions of transistors like this, and we say that we computer stores information in the digital form. So, digital form means it can be 0 or it can be 1. Whenever the switch is off, it stores 0, logic 0, and whenever it is on, it stores logic 1. So, logic 0 can be interpreted as 0 volts, and logic 1 can be interpreted as 5 volts. This is earlier technology, old technology wise, but this has changed a lot in current scenario. Okay. Okay. So, we need to move between these two 0 and 1 frequently, okay, within no time here. So, for that the BJT is the very right device, I can say here. But transistors do not fit this ideal description. As I am saying here, within no time the movement should happen here, but reality is different. It takes some time to move between the on state to off state and off state to on state here. Now, let us see the factors which are affecting this the movement between these two states here. Okay. So, why the transistors are unable to move quickly between the off state to on state here or on state to off state here. Okay, what factors are affecting this the transition between these two states. So, we will discuss that in this particular topic here, but transistors do not fit this ideal description of a switch and serves as a useful approximation in practical electronic circuit. So, that means they have some time limits between these two transitions here. We will see that in detail in this particular section here. The two states of a transistor in switching can be seen in the simple common emitter example. I would like to show the diagrams here. So, this is the common emitter configuration what you are seeing here. This simple circuit we have taken here. Let us not worry about this component values here, like resistor we have used here 5 kilo ohm, and the voltage applied is here is 40 volts between the collector and the emitter, and there is a small a pulse waveform is applied between the base and the emitter here. This is going to be in common emitter configuration. Let us label this circuit as a biasing circuit here, and once you have the circuit, you can obtain this kind of the characteristics. This is common emitter characteristics, where we plot collector emitter voltage along x axis and collector current along the y axis here, and there is a load line here that will tell you the that specifies the operation extreme ends of the operations of both IC and VCE here. So, we will see that here when the base current is 0, what will happen to the collector current here. Collector current naturally becomes 0 when base current is 0, right. You are exactly at the x axis when the base current is going to be 0 here. Another end, if base current is large, you can see that the collector current increases proportionately here. Okay. So, collector current is very large. You can see here there is an 8 milliampere of collector current for larger base current, base current of say 0.08 0.08 milliampere. So, this is the amount of collector current flowing here. But on other end, if you see that when base current is 0, so collector current also becomes 0. So, voltage at the transistor across collector emitter junction is 40 volts here. That means, when we make this base current as 0 or negative, so then the complete voltage what you are seeing here, it appears between the collector and the emitter. In fact, this is going to be across collector and the base, because this is under reverse bias. The complete circuit is under normal active mode. Normal active means this is input is forward biased, emitter base junction is forward biased. Okay. So, this junction is forward biased, and this collector emitter junction is reverse biased. So, this is reverse bias. This mode is called as normal active mode here. Okay. So, emitter base junction is forward biased, collector base junction is reverse biased. So, here IB is not made as 0, even though I show here IB, but when you make IB as 0, so then definitely collector current is going to become 0. When this current becomes 0, there is no current flow in this loop here, and this complete 40 volts will get across the collector and base here. Okay. So, now as you keep increasing this the base current here, what is going to happen? When we increase the base current, proportionately collector current also keeps increases, then slowly the collector base voltage decreases. Instead of saying collector base, let me say collector and emitter. The voltage across collector and emitter keeps decreases as you keep increasing the base current here. So, let us see the write it here. When IB equals 0, we have seen already voltage across collector and emitter is 40 volts. Okay. So, collector current is going to be 0. when we have IB value say is not now 0, now you can see that VC decreases and IC keeps increase. So, this is what the consequences which you can see from this circuit here. That same thing is plotted as a graphs here. You can see that here since IB is 0 here. So, collector current also becomes 0, the collector emitter voltage is now this distance is 40 volts that appears across collector and emitter. When IB keeps increasing, you can see as curves are when you move above. So, this is for IB value as 0.02 milli, IB value as 0.04, 0.06, 0.08. So, that means IB is increasing. So, this base current increases. As you know, when the base current increases here, the collector current also increases here. Okay. Now, there is some saturation limit for which collector current can increase. So, what is the maximum collector current that can flow in this loop? It is nothing but 40 volts divided by 5 kilo ohm, which is nothing but 8 milliampere. So, this is the maximum current that can flow in this loop. So, maximum current that can flow here is 8 milliampere. Okay. So, beyond that the transistor gets into saturation here. So, current becomes almost saturates here, you can see here now. So, this is for the IB 0.08 milliampere. The collector current is going to become 8 milliampere, and you can see the amplification factor for this. So, how do we measure amplification factor? It is 8 by 0.08. Okay. So, it is going to be 100, right. So, the amplification factor is going to be 100. Throughout this for different values of base currents, you can see amplification factor is a constant. So, again you can see a 6 milliampere for this particular curve for constant base current say 0.06 milliampere of base current here. There is a collector current of 6 milliampere, 6 divided by 0.06, again the beta is going to be 100. Throughout this the characteristics beta remains constant, that is going to be 100. Okay, that is an amplification factor of the BJT. Okay. So, with that I will stop at this point. Next class we will continue with this same switching operations in more detail. So, we will see that various timing related things with reference to the switching, and this is going to be the last topic of the BJT, and with that we will move on to the field effect transistors. Okay. I would like to take attendance. I will stop at this point and continue with attendance.